What's a mystery or unexplained event from your personal life that still baffles you to this day? Random, but I was building a fire pit. After I get through laying all the stones, I decide to level the ground a bit more. So I remove the stones and put them all in a pile about 5 feet away. I level the ground and begin again. As I am finishing, I notice I am 1 stone short. On my first attempt I used all stones and it completely closed the circle. On my second attempt, I am 1 stone short. I stacked all the stones literally a few feet away from me. I didn't leave the yard where I was building it. I didn't change the diameter of the ring. WTF? Where the hell did that 1 stone go? When I was in grade 4, somebody put their sandwich in the blue box recycling bin at lunchtime. When the teacher came back, she was absolutely furious, and yelled at the entire class for the entire afternoon, demanding that one of us confess to either putting the sandwich in the bin or seeing someone put the sandwich in the bin. We had a class point system, where each table group earned points for good behavior to win a prize at the end of the week, and we all lost all our points. To this day, no one's ever confessed, and I still have no idea who put the sandwich in the blue box. I was a kid and had a vivid dream about Easter. I was at my grandma's house, but I wasn't me. I was wearing a blue and green dress I had never seen and it was very old-fashioned. I had this weird pail for candy and eggs. There was a golden retriever puppy and I played with him. In real life, I've never seen a dog at my grandma's house. I remember playing and finding eggs, etc. I told my mom about it the next day and she was weirded out. She said that the dream is one of her memories from an Easter day in her childhood. All the same details, from the dress to the pail to the puppy. When I was 7-9, I befriended a girl. Her name was Carolina. The details are lost, but I remember direction to her house. I remember our group of friends playing near her yard. A week passed with our new friend. Morning comes and when I meet up our friends they are left confused who is Carolina. I start leading up them to the direction to her house. Except I don't know which house. We keep walking past houses I know are not hers until we came up an abandoned house. Which would be hers? Or is that it? I've had to realize that our friendship with Carolina was just a dream. When I was a kid, I lost a tooth during the night. Woke me up at like 3 AM. I didn't tell my parents the previous day, and I was old enough that I knew it was them and not the tooth fairy that was replacing tooth by money under the pillow. So I just put my tooth under it, and went for the rest of the night, with the prospect of telling my parents the next day. I woke up with a coin instead of a tooth below my pillow, and to this day I still have no explication. I refuse to believe in ghosts or the tooth fairy or whatever, but god damn it, I have no idea what happened. Lol. When I was really young, kindergarten young, I remember playing outside during recess and the day turned to night. Everything was suddenly dark. It was like a light switch turned off. I remember my classmates all stopped playing and looked up at the night sky, confused and horrified as I was. Some kids started crying and screaming and the memory abruptly stops. I can't tell you what happened after as I really have no recollection. To this day I still get goosebumps thinking about what may have happened and why I don't remember what happened next. In 2008 I was driving by myself down a dark interstate highway in PA late at night when one of the map lights turned on by itself in my Nissan Xterra. I turned it off and it turned back on. So this really got my attention. About 2 minutes later I see an entire herd of deer in the middle of the road in front of me and I have to stop to avoid hitting them. I'm fairly certain had that map light not turned on I would have been zoned out and plowed into the deer at 65 miles per hour. I never had a map light turn on by itself before or after that occurrence. I have a memory of falling down the stairs in the building that I lived when I was a kid. But till this day, I don't know if it was real or not. Other moment was that when I was a kid, I was watching Drake and Josh or some other Nickelodeon sitcom and they made a joke followed by background laugh and laughed, but right after, when it was silent I heard a female laugh near me. The only issue was that there was only me and my mother in the house, but my mom was at her room with door closed and her room was kind far from where I was. I have this memory when I was younger watching a TV show called Bozo the Clown and I saw myself when they're playing the games and wearing this Navy sailor suit. To this day I swear I saw myself on the show, but I know in reality I was never on there and the outfit I was wearing I wore in a childhood picture that was taken of me. My family history is every firstborn woman on my mom's side has a child at like 15-16 except me who had my first at 30. I don't know why that matters but it seems like the warped memory relates somehow. I think someone tried to teach me how to masturbate when I was in the 5-8 year old range. One of my top candidates, my great-uncle, overdosed on ibuprofen a few weeks before I was set to visit him for the first time since I was a kid 20 years. But my memories of him are happier than with most relatives from that part of my family, which dilutes my suspicion. My question to Reddit: are there any movies, TV shows in which an abuser teaches a young boy how to masturbate? I'm trying to be sure of my memories and theories. I had mom's cousin, I think. He was family that wound up dead with a gunshot wound to the chest. He was 22 back in the 1910s, or early 20s. I'd have to research it again, and my memory for detail sucks a bit. And was out hunting with his friend in the local woods when he was found. We never found out if it was an accident or more than that. He came from Italy with my via asylum. The ticket taker even changed her last name because he either didn't hear it correctly or was rushed. A friend who suddenly ghosted, still active on social media but just out of the blue never replied or talked to me again. I moved to another city, but when I'd visited she was very happy to see me and we chat like old friends. Fast forward 2 weeks later, no reply, no answers, no nothing. Maybe she didn't want to maintain the relationship? Or thought that long distance friendship wasn't worth it. Still a big why in my mind, but I won't bother with this person anymore if they can't at least tell me what happened. I was really close with my paternal grandfather, but he passed in a sudden accident when I was a kid. About a year or two later, I had a T-Mobile Razr phone and my family had inherited one of his cars. On that phone, I had a picture of that car with my house in the background. But the thumbnail for the picture is just a blurred image that sorta looks his face taken very fast. Whether or not it looks like a face, it definitely does not look like the car or my house. Why doesn't the thumbnail match the image? I went to visit my sister over spring break one year, and when I came back my best friend refused to speak with me. We spoke on the phone for a few hours midway through my trip and things were fine. I asked a mutual friend who said she said, "You know what you did?" I have no fucking clue. We were super tight and generally able to call each other on our shit. I wasn't a perfect friend, so this isn't about not accepting something I did was wrong. I genuinely don't know and it will always gnaw at me. Freshman year in college I was going to trip on mushrooms for the first time on Halloween in Salem, Massachusetts. I received a postcard that day with no return address that said, "What happens on Halloween?" I thought it was a weird, mysterious postcard. Then I took mushrooms and left for a train ride from Boston to Salem. I had a bad trip immediately. I couldn't remember how to speak. And my friends were weirded out by me. I felt like I was in hell. And never figured out who sent the postcard or why. I had a makeup bag full of turquoise rings that I've been collecting from antique stores since middle school. My first Halloween with my partner, I took the bag to his house. Then it was just gone. No one could have stolen it. I just have no idea where it went. Fast forward to now. I moved in almost 2 years ago and I thought that maybe I'd stumble upon it in a random place. Nope. It's just gone. Did I throw it away or something by accident? Lol. It sucks. I loved all of my rings, so this event I had is kinda like advanced daydreaming. I can't exactly remember what I was doing, either studying or doing HW in my dorm, and out of my left vision I could see parts of a glass office like I was in a small glass office. There was an indoor plant, glass panes, door, the works, and it just felt so real, like I just skipped the college process and went to the office. Like if I would just keep focusing on that I would be there. I couldn't recreate the feeling, it was just so real. Came across an old lady in Tesco who kept staring at me. She came over and said, "I know you." I said, "No, I do not think we have ever met." She said, "No, I really do know you." She said, "This will sound crazy to you, but you were my dog in another life, and one day 3 vicious dogs attacked you and you severely injured your right leg. You had to be put down." Then I remembered the birthmark that I had on my right leg that looks like a long scar running from the thigh down to the calf. When I was a kid my older siblings had already moved out and I was the only kid on the block. Well, my parents got me a small set of Barbie and I was playing with it for a while. Now remember, my sister's toys were already dealt with and the only toys in the house were mine. One day I had placed a set in the balcony to play with and noticed a pair of red shoes. I was bewildered because my Barbie had only one pink pair. Till this day I don't know where those pair came from, how my little sister was conceived. My whole family, me, little brother, mom, dad, used to sleep in the same bedroom. The bed was just enough for 4 people. I was 9-10 when I found out my mom was pregnant with my little sister, but before that, I had never heard my parents doing bed stuff before. I tried asking my mom and she just said they had their way of doing stuff. To this day, I never figured out how they did it, and now it's too awkward to ask. When I was a senior in high school, I had a dream that my car was rolling backwards and I couldn't stop it. I was slamming on the brakes and everything, but it kept rolling. Right after that, my mom woke me up and told me that my car was sitting in the road. The house sat on a hill and I parked on the driveway, so it was a pretty good slant. It had snowed, so the only thing we could think of was that the car slid on ice. So very weird. When I was in my late teens, me and my now hubby lived in a small cabin in the woods. I was sound asleep and all of a sudden I saw a flash, like lightning, and my forearm burned like fire. Hubby went across the room and turned the light on. We looked at my arm and it had 3 deep parallel scratches about an inch apart that were bleeding and very red. No explanation. That was almost 40 years ago and it still gives me the creeps. Was driving home one day on a fairly rural 2-lane highway. Suddenly a fireball explodes in midair out of nowhere. It was large, like the size of a 2-story house. Just a flash of fire in a sphere and then gone without smoke a few seconds later. There were 4 other cars close enough to have seen it. All of us pulled off the road. Some got out of their cars. I decided it best not to linger and drove away. No idea to this day. When I was a single guy living alone, my bedroom window broke and woke me up at about 3:00 a.m. one night. Never figured out what happened, but I did find a kitchen knife on the ground outside the window the next day. Not my knife. I just reported it to the complex's management and they took care of it. It was an upstairs apartment, and there was no ledge or anything by the broken window that anyone could have stood on.